Talking with people with music in their genes, their blood, and in their soul. You are watching Musical Interlude. Hi, and welcome to another episode of Musical Interlude. I am Casey Bell, your host, and it's time to go through another musical journey. Today's guest is Darren Michael Boyd, a Canadian rock and roll instrumentalist. He creates and produces rock and roll music, all instrumental. He is a Josie Music Awards nominee for Best Rock Artist. After a life-altering car accident, he decided to create and release his debut album, Lifting the Curse. Let's take a listen on our interview. Please welcome Darren Michael Boyd. So, what is your earliest memory of what is your early memory of music in your life, knowing that this was something you are supposed to do, the gift that you have?
Well, right off the start, when I was about 7 years old, I got my first Alice Cooper and Kiss records, and that just changed my life. Even at 7, I knew that something about the energy. I mean, of course, there were the superhero like theatrics and all that, but something in the music, the whole thing, I just felt drawn to it. It's show business after all. I mean, after that, again, to David Bowie and Queen and Rush and all the just music never stopped, and I still to this day discover new music all the time. So I'm not just a musician, but just such a fan of music. I love all kinds of music, and that's something that started really young. And in fact, just even as I'm saying this, I'm thinking even before the Kiss records, I had one of those little Fisher Price record players, like kid things, and I was listening to some Disney records over and over again. So I was already just drawn to music and that sort of magic. But I think it was all over when Alice Cooper came along. It corrupted my life.
So you're in the genre of rock and roll, and from starting in the 80s at least, the definition of rock and roll is, okay, 2 guitar players, maybe a keyboard player, a drum player, and then your front man, who is the guy all the girls come to see.
Yeah.
But when you sent me when your agent sent me the link, and I was listening I didn't even read anything. I just pressed play, and I'm standing there waiting to hear someone sing.
Okay, yeah.
And I'm waiting, and I'm waiting. Finally, I heard God say, "Would you read the site?" And it said instrumental, and I was like, "Oh,
yeah,
okay." So I'm not going to hear anybody sing. And so, as I said, rock and roll, they're expecting to see that front man who is, even though the rest of the band is there, that front man is the man everyone cares about.
Yeah.
Did you receive any discouragement from people who said that's not rock and roll, you need to hire a singer? Or were people okay with it?
Well, so far everything's been very positive. I mean, one way to look at it is when you put something out into the world, you don't really need anybody's permission, right? You put something creative out there, and if people are insistent they want to hear a singer, there's lots of music out there they can listen to. This is an alternative, and it is different. And I've been writing songs with lyrics, with singers in bands my whole life. It's only been the past couple of years that I kind of took this path, I guess, and it's been very successful. It's been very well received, and so that's why I make a second album, because I feel like it's a chance to be really creative. And but you're right. I mean, you have to look at it too. Like, I'm putting myself, everything on there is me. So you either, if you like it, then great. If you don't, well, that's my fault too. But yeah.
Well, I asked only because, like, I didn't have a problem with it, but I know when you're doing something that's not normal or the trend or something that's different from what people are used to, instead of giving time to see, experience it, because they automatically want to throw it away, say that's wrong, you're doing it wrong, that's not the way to do it. And so I
Yeah.
just was wondering if you had people telling you don't do it. But I'm glad that you've received mostly positive feedback.
Yeah, yeah. No, and one of the things now, I find it weird when people say, oh, there's no good music being made out there. It's sort of a really sad blanket statement to make, and it's insulting to those who are creating music now. And I think I'm all for nostalgia. I mean, like, I grew up on the giants of music, and I love listening to that stuff too. Um, but those guys were all great because they did something that was different. The B-52s, Meatloaf, just pick anybody, and all of those people that you remember were doing something that was different. They weren't doing cookie cutter stuff. Uh,
Well,
I'd
it's a
rather.
I'll say it's a bad addiction because people say, "Oh, I'm never going to be my parents," but
Yeah,
people who listen to like Ella Fitzgerald and Thomas Fats Waller, when Motown came about in the 1960s, they were saying this is not music. That's not. And
wow.
then those who
Yeah,
grew up in the 60s, by the time the 80s came around, they were criticizing the 80s music. And now you have people who grew up in the 80s and 90s criticizing this generation. So it's
you're
like
right.
every generation criticizes the next, saying that's not music, forgetting that music changes not just in decades, but every year somebody decides to create a new form of music.
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
think because we're so used to what we're hearing, we don't give something new a chance
yeah. But
to.
even with the same artists, like, there are fans of a certain artist, and when they put out new music, the fans go, oh, that's not like what it was 10 years ago.
Right.
And my argument to that is always, no, even if it's exactly the same, you're not the person you were 10 years ago when you first heard it.
Right.
So you're chasing that feeling, that nostalgia, that feeling that you had when you were, I don't know, 17. And you're never, like, go back and listen to the other stuff. You're never going to get it from something new because you're not 17 anymore, right? And that's my feeling on it.
So, what was your journey like into the music business? Because they teach you math, English, history, and even in college, they teach you different things, but they never really teach you how to start, really. And so, how did you find the way to get into the business?
Sometimes I still think I'm trying. It's because you're right, there is no clear path. And when I was a teenager, like, still in high school, my band put out our first album at the time, and I remember going on tour. We got a manager and an agent. I guess we created enough buzz with this, and we were starting to get in magazines and stuff. And you know, we weren't even finished high school, and we were touring across the country. And um, so I guess that's just it. We were just doing it. And I think, like I was saying before about not needing anybody's permission, I think nowadays there's so many artists that, I mean, not just artists, like, it doesn't have to be music, it could be anything. People are afraid, they're afraid of rejection, or they make excuses like, if only I had this, I just need that. And if you wait for that, it's just never going to get done. So my proudest accomplishments are just finishing my albums and getting them out there. I mean, nobody even likes them. The fact is, it got done. You don't. Um, and then if people like it, you do create a buzz, and that's how you get in. But you're right. There are uh, a lot of misconceptions in the music business, and there are a lot of sharks swimming in the water still. It is never changed. It's People say, oh, it's better now, but no, not really. I don't think it is. I think it's just now it's all digital. All the sharks are on the computers, and
Right. Well, I
yeah,
think now there's more knowledge about it, but I
true.
don't think it's better. I just think people are more aware of it now than they were
Yeah, yeah,
years, 10, 20, 30 years ago.
yeah. And another thing I would say too, and I mean, I don't know if you'd count this as advice, and nobody has to listen to me, but I do find that we waste a lot of time on social media trying to, I don't know, create something. We're just constantly trying to keep up with these algorithms, and we're clawing and pestering people, and it's just kind of like, I don't know, I would be a better musician if I spent more time playing music than and less time messing around on social media. It's like put the phone away and make music. That's, but it's too bad we can't get out and do more shows right now. So
Right. That's,
that's, you know
it's, I don't remember how long ago it was, maybe 2, 3 months ago. I was trying the whole social media thing. And I know it says it takes a while before, but I was posting like 3 or 4 times a day. And I finally got to the point to where I was so exhausted, I said, I don't care anymore. I'll, like, I just
well,
don't
it's a
care anymore.
burnout. Yeah, it's a burnout, isn't
It's
it? You
like,
just like, yeah.
so now I'm like, I'll do it every other day if I feel like it. And I'm not even going to, oh my gosh, I got to post something because I
Yeah.
feel like it's really not, I don't see any benefit right now of doing
No.
it every day in 4 or 5 different platforms and tagging
Yeah.
it 200 tags and
Yeah.
trying to find unique tags and trying to, as you said, the algorithms, which is annoying because when social media first came out, there was no such thing as algorithm. It was
I
just
know. I
you
know.
see what you see. And now I'm like, I'm not trying to play a game with the social media CEOs of an algorithm.
Yeah.
I'm gonna post it and let it go.
Yeah. So like $1 billion company wants you to be the content creator for free. And I'm like
Right.
that, and I don't mean to sound, sour about it or anything. I use social media, but really, I'm not putting all my eggs in that basket because it's not my job. My job is to make music and be an entertainer, not to constantly be posting content, like you said, to play that game, and it's a little bit frustrating at times. And also, um, just an average, like a person who's not an entertainer. I mean, just somebody who is posting regular stuff on their personal Facebook page or something, becomes addicted, and they become concerned about the amount of interaction they get. They value, or they judge their own value on how many likes they get on their pictures and stuff. And with as artists, that kind of is our value. So it can also be sort of depressing, and that's something that people don't talk about. Is there is a big mental health issue problem when it comes to a lot of people, but artists, for one thing. And we're just this pressure of constantly needing to put out new content and product. And like you said, you get to a point of like, I just don't care anymore. You get burnt out, and that's not what it's about. It's supposed to be about creating. And yeah, I don't know the answer. I wish I had the answer. I don't know, but I don't think this is the healthy way to do it.
No. So can you name anywhere from 1 to 3 mistakes you made during your journey of producing and publishing music that you wish someone would have came to you and said, hey, this is probably something you shouldn't do, or this is something you should do?
Um, I think doing the stuff myself so far, I haven't really run into too much of that because it's only been a couple of years now that I've gone this way of doing everything self-produced. And that, I think in the past, a couple of things. And for one thing, if you can drive, I know this doesn't sound like anything to do with music, but if you can be self-sufficient and not relying on other people, that really helps your freedom. Which brings me to the next point is, uh, of not being a big fish in a small pond. Like always playing with people that you're better than. No, I shouldn't say better than, but you're just like you're
Not
not
on the same
pushing
level.
yourself. Yeah, you're not pushing yourself. If you start playing with people that make you feel like you're not very good, then you're going to push yourself to get better. And those are types of things I think, expanding out and trying to improve, and not being afraid to. I think a lot of people are afraid they fall into this perfectionism trap. Like, I can't put my new album out because it's not ready. It's not perfect. I can't put the single out or whatever it is. And you know what? It's never going to be perfect. So you have to draw a line of when it's ready and do your best, put it out there. The worst that's going to happen is that people will ignore it. I guess the second worst is that it'll be made fun of, but then it might end up being viral. So that could be good. I don't know. Like, as long as you don't let it get to you too bad. I don't
Right.
I haven't had too many like real haters. So I think that's good. Some
That's
people,
good.
some people can be pretty nasty. I don't know.
So I know someone I don't want to really talk too much because if he sees this, I don't want to, but I
Yeah.
was understanding what you were saying as far as playing with people on your same level, because he was, I guess you can say, a solo artist, and he joined the band and he invited me and I came to see it. And I felt like he was on a higher level than the band, and that it wasn't, like I said, I don't want to say he could do better, but
Yeah.
well, let's say this in musical terms, I'll say he was in the 11th grade, they were in the 5th grade, so to
Right.
speak. And it wasn't that they weren't good, they just didn't have the same advanced skills as he had. And I felt like I wanted to tell him he shouldn't really be in this band, because it's not, they're getting to the 11th grade, but they're not there yet, and you should probably play with other people who are on your level. But I do understand what you were saying as far as making sure you play with people who are either on the same or at least a higher level than you are musically and training.
And it's not just about like we've all heard those stories. Somebody who is better, but they play with band that maybe holds them down from their reaching their potential career-wise. But I'm not even talking career-wise. I mean, just as a player, if you play with people that just make you go, oh geez, I better step up my game, then that's only going to be good for you, right? It's like, it may not feel good at times because you feel like you have to get over your ego and say, man, I got to go home and practice.
Mm-hmm.
But I've watched a lot I'm a huge Prince fan, and I've watched a lot of his concerts throughout, like YouTube concerts, and throughout the years, he's always got different players in the band, and the show's totally different. Every one, it's different. And what's crazy to me is that they're so tight. The musicians are so great. Like, he didn't play with any B grade player. They were all A game, but yet they were loose enough that no matter what he did, they followed it. Like, he could change something at the, just spur of the moment, he decides to change something and they're right there. They don't miss anything. And it's like, wow, that's anybody who questions that, Prince, they go, he would like watch those concerts and that's live music,
So last question for you.
Sure.
If there was one musician, whether they be dead or alive, that you can sit down and have a conversation with, who would it be?
Oh, wow. Well, Prince being one for sure, I would have to say. I mean, could not, the things he could learn. I mean, yeah. I'll just say that, Prince for sure. Yeah.
Okay. would like more information on Mr. Darren Michael Boyd, please visit his website for more information. Thank you again for watching another episode of Musical Interlude. Have yourself a wonderful day.